I'm getting ready to leave tomorrow to go to Spain for 3 weeks and to continue on the Camino de Santiago to do the Northern Camino with my son, which we try to do every year. And so we're starting from Bilbao this year and walk a few of the stages of the north. We don't have a full, we don't have time to do the whole thing this year, but I think 3 weeks is enough for us. And last year, when I decided to do 6 weeks, I ended up coming back early when I hurt my arm. But something that has been on the back of my mind over recent events that we've seen happening in world events, and I've said many people read Lord of the World, that prophetic novel by Robert Hugh Benson, a priest who lived well over 100 years ago. Was he a prophet, or was he just able to see the result of what would happen when we turn away from natural law, from God? And I think there's maybe a mixture here, both of a person who can see clearly ahead, and maybe somebody who understood the spiritual battle that's at force. And the events that we've seen at the world stage over the last few weeks have been truly startling. We've seen a country commit genocide, and no matter what your opinion is on Israel, there is a genocide happening. That's a fact. Disproportionate force being used, especially towards those who can't protect themselves. We've also seen a deflection attacking Iran, and we've seen China unusually quiet. Iran is a major trading partner with China, India. I mean, they are the third largest deposit of oil in the world. Far bigger oil deposits than some other countries. For example, America. People may not be aware of this. They have major links with Russia, with China, and we saw them attacked by Israel, and China unusually quiet. And so I'm going to do a little game here, a little exercise here of what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks or maybe months. Because what I think is what we're seeing is the imminent... I think you're going to have a coup in China. I think you're going to have a coup d'etat in China. A power struggle to topple Xi, the current leader of China. I think we're on the cusp of this. And the recent events in Iran kind of don't bode well for this. That's kind of the first thing. The second thing that I'm going to say is what the world is going to experience, and very soon. There's no doubt about it. Hopefully, this video prepares some people. Is what is called a Black Swan event. As I said, I published a kind of a prophecy of this anime artist in Japan who foresees a disaster happening this July, and she sees two dragons in this prophecy and so forth. And many people were saying, "Oh, look, it's just nonsense. All of these future prophecies, they never come to pass. It's just people, looking for attention and end of days." I'm not saying end of days or anything like this, but there are people who just see events as they're going to happen. And it's interesting, the date that she mentions, in July, Wales happens to be playing in Japan. Wales with their flag with a dragon on it. Now, does this have any connection? Who knows? But I as I said, a Black Swan event is something when you look backwards, you say, well, look, it was bound to happen. It's bound to happen. Pandemics are bound to happen. But there's a priest in Colombia who predicted the pandemic 4 years before it happened, he's also predicting something similar to what this person in Japan is predicting, some type of natural disaster that will have worldwide implications. And, I'm just collecting all this information and saying, well, could heaven be warning us? I absolutely think heaven is warning us, And I suppose from the Catholic point of view, when you look at the events in Rwanda, Quebec, 10 years, Our Lady of Quebec warning Rwandans. Okay, specific warning. And then 1 million dead. We look at Our Lady warning in Bosnia. Specific warnings. She came with the title Our Lady Queen of Peace, with Mir, peace, peace, peace. Our Lady warning in Garabandal. I have the sign behind me, the banner behind me. Fatima. Us Catholics tend to take these signs, messages clearly. And as I said, a lot of these things have started to play out in the church. And out in the world. So what do I think is coming soon? I think you're going to have a Black Swan event, an event that nobody's prepared for. We're not prepared for this, but we've been warned about it. And when it happens, we look back, well, it was bound to happen. We'll say, well, look, it's bound to happen. Pandemics are bound to happen. We had them before, we'll have them again. But I think these two events will either cascade one into the other or another into the Chinese event. And I think we're going to see a major power struggle in China. Unlike anything we've seen over the last 5 heads of state in China. So this will be a turning point for Chinese government, for the Chinese nation. This is going to happen. And, so keep that in the back of your mind, because these two events, if they happen together, or even if they happen separately, a power struggle, a coup d'etat, a major change of leadership in China. That's what I'm seeing, a major change of leadership in China. We see this coupled with the event that a natural disaster, which is what various people seem to be saying is coming, could reshape the world in ways we don't understand. Now, I work in business and I work in supply chain and shipping and all of this. And, COVID was an interesting time. I tell you, to have a disaster or a problem in China or Taiwan, Japan, Middle East has global ramifications, and we're talking about here the mother of all recessions, and that would be livable if it's just a recession. But this could be on a far greater scale. So all I would say to Catholics is, and this is really the point I'm making, is don't be so naive to think that things will be the same as you always think they're going to be. The post-COVID world is a different world to the pre-COVID world in many ways. As I said, during COVID, we were not allowed to even say peep about anything to do with those treatments. It was dictatorship unlike anything we've ever seen. And I think, from what I can see, the dominoes are about to fall with two events. China and a Black Swan event in Japan, Taiwan, something like this. Something that when we look back, we say, well, look, this has happened before. This isn't anything, that we haven't seen before, but it is once in 100 years or maybe once in 200 years event that will drastically reshape our world, our economies. And that's really where I think humanity is heading for. And when we listen to what Sister Agnes Sasagawa had to say, what she saw coming, I'm not saying it's going to be fulfilled exactly as she saw, because prophecy, has to be interpreted correctly. But all of these all of these mystics, all of these prophets, even these secular people, they're all seem to be, if they're feeding off each other, I don't know, but they all seem to be warning us about something monumental that's going to happen to humanity. They all seem to be saying the same type of message, you know, and you know, the world is in a very fraught, difficult situation at the moment. And you know, the cascade of dominoes could be interesting. If you know, if China does go to war with Taiwan, if there is a power struggle, an internal power struggle in the CCP, which there is, it's blatantly obvious. Anybody that's following Chinese affairs can see that something is happening in China at this moment in time. Their economy is struggling. And, you know, at sooner or later, these tensions, they break. You know, we saw a little bit of it with Tiananmen Square. We're going to see it with other places. But this is what I see happening. In the very near future, these two events in the East. And let's see if these two play out. I'd love to know people's comments on this. I'd love to know, what do you think? Do you think it's all just nonsense conspiracy, or do you think that China is on the cusp of a major change, which I do think they are? You know, I think the regime, the control that they've placed has reached its turning point. You know, the Great Wall of China, the control of information. You know, there's only so far these regimes can go until they break down. So let's see what happens. But as I said, July is going to be interesting. That's what I see. And I think the changes, the political changes could happen sooner than later, or they could be as a result of one incident, could be a catalyst for another. So let's see. God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.